Wow. That end of the month May series into early June, that said something about the Blue Jays. Let's talk Blue Jays and athletics right now on this episode of Blue Jays Game Recap. I'm Scott McGregor. Good evening, everybody. Let's get started.
The Blue Jays are back, and right now, with the game having gone final, we are welcoming you in to Blue Jays Game Recap on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Now, let's go to your hosts of Blue Jays Game Recap, Thomas McGregor, Ali Musa, and Scott McGregor in the Sports for Beginners podcast studio. Take it away, gentlemen, because when the umpire says, "You're out," or "That's the game," or "Let's play ball," we know it's time for some baseball. This is Blue Jays Game Recap. Take it away, gentlemen.
It's not even this series doesn't even start on a promotional day for the Blue Jays, but it does start their homestand with a bang. I mean a literal bang. They came in to this series 27 and 28, a game below 500 against a 23 and 33 athletics team. And guess what? In the words of Steve Dangle, but my own words, bam, bam, Barger. Blue Jays sweep the Athletics 4-0 on account of a 12-0 shutout win, an 11-7 win. The 12-0 was on Thursday, 11-7 on Friday, 8-7 victors the Jays were on Saturday, and then today, at the time of our start of our recording, I should say, the Blue Jays knock off the Athletics 8-4. Holy moly. They don't get that much intense than that. The games don't get that much intense than what they did. I'm going to tell you right now. They don't get that much intense than they already did. Oh, by the way, going into this series, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays were tied for second place in the American League East. Now a lot has happened since this series went final and since this series began. A lot, and I mean a lot, has happened. Let's jump right in with our coaches. First up, John Schneider is the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. The manager of the Athletics, I was going to say Oakland, but they're called the Athletics, is Mark Kotsay. Mark Kotsay is the manager of the Athletics, not Matt. I meant to say Mark Kotsay. He takes on Blue Jays manager John Schneider, and there's a lot of transactions that have happened, but as of late, since this series began, and of course came to an end today, the Blue Jays optioned left-handed pitcher Easton Lucas to the Buffalo Bisons, recalled left fielder Davis Schneider from the Buffalo Bisons. They also placed center fielder Dalton Varsho on the 10-day injured list with a left hamstring strain. And Swanee was back. Eric Swanson was activated off of the 60-day injured list. Both Davis Schneider and Eric Swanson were active for game number 3, which was today on Sunday, June the 1st, 2025. Transactions made of their own for the Athletics as this series was going on. But let's stop there and get to who pitched in which game. It was a 4-game series, so we don't have any time to waste. The first meeting on the mound was for the Toronto Blue Jays, Jose Barrios going toe-to-toe with, for the Oakland Athletics, this man, Jacob Lopez. Jacob Lopez and Jose Barrios going toe-to-toe in game number 1. In game number 2, it was Jeffrey Springs versus Chris Bassett. Springs went 2 innings, gave up 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 6 walks, 2 strikeouts, 1 home run. Bassett goes 5 innings, 7 hits given up, 5 earned runs given up, 2 batters walks, 6 Ks, 2 home runs given up. And that was the matchup in game number 2, the Friday game. To the weekend we go. Easton Lucas playing in this game. He will start the game. Well, actually, Braden Fisher will start this game. Easton Lucas, though, was credited with the win. Braden Fisher was the starter. He went against this man for the Oakland Athletics, Gunnar Hoglund. Gunnar Hoglund going against Braden Fisher in the Saturday matinee. And in today's matinee, it was the starters who did not end up with the win. Those were Kevin Gausman and J.P. Sears. J.P. Sears for the Athletics, Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays. Alrighty, meeting on the mound over with. Let's jump in with both feet now to our line score. First, we gotta jump 1 game at a time, and we're gonna start with the Blue Jays opening win. Again, I say the Blue Jays sweep a 4-game series against the Athletics and kick off their 7-game homestand. They have 3 games against the Philadelphia Phillies coming up. We'll talk about that later in the show. But with that said, here is the line score for all 4 games. If we don't get into the scoring in this segment, we'll get to that in the second segment, and we'll make sure that we get to as much as we can. We may take off the player of the game and top performers. Here it is in a nutshell via the team comparison. For the Athletics, no runs on 4 hits, 5 total bases, no home runs, no stolen bases. They left 5 men on, no errors. For the Blue Jays, 12 runs on 18 hits, 4 home runs, 33 total bases, 1 stolen base. They left 11 men on base, no errors in game 1. All right, that's game 1. Let's go to game 2. Line score for the Athletics, 7 runs, 10 hits, 2 home runs, 19 total bases, 1 stolen base, 4 men left on base, no errors. For the Blue Jays, 11 runs on 15 hits, 2 homers, 2 home runs. Homers is short for homers. 24 total bases, 1 stolen base, 14 men left on base, and 1 error. In game number 3, the line score via team comparison, the Athletics, 7 runs on 11 hits, 3 home runs, 21 total bases, 7 men left on base, no stolen bases, no errors. For the Blue Jays, 8 runs on 10 hits, 4 of them home runs, 24 total bases, no stolen bases. They left 1 man on base and no errors. We had a big game for a Canadian native. Shout out to Denzel Clark. First home run in his major league career. He does it on home soil against the Toronto Blue Jays, but we'll get to that later. Last line score, which is from today, for the Blue Jays, 8 runs on 13 hits, 1 home run, 20 total bases, no stolen bases for the Jays in this one. They left 7 men on base, no errors. For the Athletics, 4 runs on 11 hits. None of those runs scored on home runs. 12 total bases, 4 stolen bases, 11 men left on, and 2 errors. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we continue, it's time to go scoring watching, and we're going to start with the first 2 games during the week. Those were Thursday and Friday night. The final scores of those games: 12-0 Toronto over the Athletics in game 1. The Thursday game. The Friday game was 11-7 Toronto. Of course, Saturday and Sunday, 8-7 on Saturday, 8-4 today on Sunday. We'll get to those as we can. The scoring moments of those coming up in a matter of moments. But we're going to go game by game, one game at a time. And game 1, and perhaps game 2, come your way next on Blue Jays Game Recap. Athletics versus the Jays. It's coming your way very soon on Blue Jays Game Recap. Stay with us, because Blue Jays Game Recap will be right back right after this. Blue Jays and Athletics. More in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo. 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
The Blue Jays sweep the Athletics 4-0. They move into second place in the American League East. Their current record is 31-28. Record coming into the series with the Athletics was 27-28. Going into game 2, the record was 28-28. The record for Oakland going in was 23-34. 23-33 going in. Coming out of the series, Oakland is now 23-37 in the AL West, and they are at the bottom of the barrel in the AL West with those 4 losses. The head coaches, as mentioned, are Mark Kotsay and, of course, John Schneider. Here's how it all began. We're going to start with Thursday, and here we go. We begin with an Ernie Clement 3-run home run, his second home run of the season. Alejandro Kirk and Anthony Santander score on the play. Santander did play in this game. Blue Jays go up 3-0 early second inning. Still in the second inning, though. Blue Jays not done. The 17th double of the season for Bo Bichette drives in Jonathan Clase to make it 4-0 Toronto, 4-0 Toronto. A 2-run shot from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. About an hour later. His 8th home run of the season makes it 6-0 Toronto. Back around the order we go. And Ernie Clement hit a home run to open the game. He opened the game scoring, I should say, in the bottom of the second inning. That's where the scoring began. He opened the scoring with his 2nd home run of the season. Continues our scoring until the end of that 2nd inning with his 8th double of the season, scoring George Springer, Alejandro Kirk, and Anthony Santander hits third base on the play to the bottom of the 3rd. That was not your traditional 2nd inning by the Toronto Blue Jays, or by any baseball team for that matter. To the bottom of the 3rd. It's already 8-0 after just the 2nd inning of play. Bottom of the 3rd, the Blue Jays continue to grow the lead, and the floodgates have opened. It's now 10-0 as Bo Bichette joins the fun with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Ernie Clement. His 6th home run of the season, a 2-run shot, scores Jonathan Clase, makes it 10-0 Toronto in the bottom of the 3rd. And we're only in the 3rd inning, and already it's 10-0. Touchdown Blue Jays. Well, they almost scored the 2nd touchdown in a football game score, which would be a 13 and then a 14. But on the Ernie Clement double during that 2nd inning, it became a touchdown and a 2-point conversion at 8-0. Now it's 10-0 on the Bo Bichette 6th home run, not 10th, 6th home run of the season. And George Springer hits his 6th home run, a 6th home run of his very own. This is a solo shot for George Springer. His 6th home run of the season. It's 11-0. Not 11-2, 11-0, I should say. 6th home run of the season for George Springer. Fly ball into left field. It's out of here. It got out of there in a hurry. Bottom of the 7th, I should say. Not 2nd. That's where we started it. Sac fly for Alejandro Kirk. Scores Addison Barger. Bam, bam, Barger. We'll get to him in a second. Ali Sanchez, who was in the game, went to 3rd on this play. But Alejandro came up clutch and scored the game's final run of the game as the Blue Jays blow out the Athletics in Game 1, 12-0. Home runs off the bat of Ernie Clement, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and George Springer. In the order of Ernie Clement, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and George Springer. Alright, that's Game 1. This put the Blue Jays at 500. Let's go to Game 2. Tyler Soderstrom getting things started for the Athletics in the top of the 2nd inning, but in the bottom of the 2nd inning, the Blue Jays quickly answer back. Remember, this was not a shutout game, nor was it a blowout game, nor was it a no-hitter game. The Athletics strike first in the top of the 2nd this time, and this was on Friday on City Connect night. Tyler Soderstrom getting things started, his 11th home run of the season. Athletics going up 1-0. Bottom of the 2nd we go. Later in the inning, Miles Straw puts a nice sharp line drive into center field for the Ontario native, the Pickering, Ontario native, Denzel Clark. Ernie Clement scores. Addison Barger going to 3rd. Miles Straw will end up at 2nd base on his single. It was ruled a single, but it looks like a double as he ends up at 2nd base. Addison Barger will go to 3rd on the play. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a few batters later, walks in Addison Barger to have the Blue Jays not only tie this ball game on the Miles Straw single, but he also walks in the Blue Jays lead run scored by Addison Barger, and Bo Bichette and Miles Straw go to third and second base. Bo Bichette to second, Miles Straw to third. A sac fly from George Springer gives the Blue Jays a 2-run lead as Miles Straw scores on the play. Bo Bichette does get to third base on the play though, but it is a sac fly for George. Blue Jays have the lead heading to the top of the third. It's 3-1. But how long will it be that way? Well, the Blue Jays avoid trouble in the top of the third, but the Athletics get within a run. Jacob Wilson singles on a ground ball into center field. Lawrence Butler will score on the play. It's now 3-2 Toronto. To the bottom of the third we go, and here come the Blue Jays. Ernie hit a home run in game 1, and I'll hit a home run in the next one in game 2. He hits another home run, his third home run of the season. Fly ball left center field. Blue Jays up by 2 once again. It's 4-2. But they're not done here. Miles Straw doubles. 5th double of the year for Miles Straw. This one scores Addison Barger. The Ernie Clement home run was a solo shot to left center field. Ernie's third home run of his career. Third home run of the season, not of his career. Miles Straw 5th double of the season. Addison Barger scores on the play. 5-2 Toronto on the double from Miles Straw. Nathan Lukes puts a nice sharp ground ball into second base. Logan Davidson will play it, but Miles Straw scores on the play. It's 6-2. 6-2 after two innings of scores. Third and the second inning. In the fourth, however, Shea Langeliers hits his 10th home run. Shea Langeliers hits his 10th home run of the season and gets the Athletics within 3. They went down by 4 after a Luke's single and a double off the bat of Miles Straw and a home run off the bat of Ernie Clement. Nothing do it for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 4th. Bottom of the 5th, however, they do get some stuff going. Right after, in the top half of the 5th, Brent Rooker hits his 11th double of the year to score Denzel Clark and Lawrence Butler. Brent Rooker to third. He advances to third, though, on a throwing error by Ernie Clement. That's okay, Ernie. Errors are going to happen. We can't get worked up about those. I know we will, but stay with me. Now it's a 1-run game. 6-5 Blue Jays. Bottom of the 5th, the Blue Jays know that, and George Springer and Alejandro Kirk, each with singles to score Miles Straw and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to make it a 4-run game after George's single made it a 2-run game. A 2-run single from Alejandro Kirk scores George and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to make it 9-7. Blue Jays up. 9-5, I should say. Blue Jays up by 4. They're up by 4. So a 2-run lead has become a 4-run lead. Bottom of the 6th we go after the Blue Jays avoid trouble in the top of the 6th. And Bam Bam Barger, his 3rd home run of the season on a fly ball to right field. Solo shot off the bat of Addison Barger. And the lead is now 5 for the Blue Jays. It's a 5-run game for the Jays. And then Bo Bichette finishes things off with the last run the Blue Jays will score. In that inning, he finishes things off with a nice single to score Nathan Lukes. The Blue Jays would only get 11 runs, but that means pitching has to come in and try to close this game down, and they do. But they give up 2 runs in the process, a double and a single. Denzel Clark singles on a line drive to score Miguel Eduard. Scores on that play by Denzel Clark. Later, Denzel Clark scores on the 16th double of the season by Lawrence Butler. That makes it 11-7. Blue Jays will hang on to win that game. Oakland was going to make them sweat for the win, but the Athletics, I got to keep that going here. The Athletics are making the Blue Jays sweat for that win. All right, we'll get to Game 3 and Game 4 scoring on the other side of another quick timeout. When we come back, we'll get to Game 4 and Game 3 of this series. Let you know about our pitching line, our first pitching line, our only pitching line, I'll say, from one of the 4 games. We got players of the series coming up as well. And we'll get you all caught up on what happened before the series and what has happened since the series ended. We talked about it on the Jays end. No transactions for the Athletics so far. So we'll get you caught up on all these stuff that happened both prior to the series and after the series. And during this series, I should say. On the Athletic side, we'll get you caught up on what's happened prior to today for the Blue Jays with the latest acquisitions they've made or transactions they have made so far to start June 2025. But first, Game 2 and 4, Saturday and Sunday. We'll break that all down for you coming up next on Blue Jays Game Recap. Players of the series pitching line setting up Philadelphia Phillies and Toronto. And of course, who the Athletics will take on next when we return to Blue Jays Game Recap. We will get to all of those in one break time, but we'll get to Game 4 and Game 4 and Game 3, I should say, of the 4-game set. The 8-7 and 8-4 finals for the Jays. We'll get to those next. Stay with us. Blue Jays Game Recap rolls on Sports for Beginners in a moment.
What a busy traffic on this Friday evening. I am almost stuck in this traffic for the last 40 minutes. And there is no way, I think, for me to get to the show. The CNT Radio Song Bank, which is going to start very shortly. It's one of my favorite shows. And my, what a way to wind down for the weekend. Perfect 2 hours of fun-filled music. And she has so many great features. Sound of Music, Undercover, Foreign Exchange, Name That Tune, and the big wheel that she spins for Who's That or Where Are We? We cannot forget about the international stage. I have never come across such a great show in my life. I think I will have to press hard on my accelerator and go as fast as I can to get home in time. Wow! Wow! Look! I made it! I am almost there! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners. Hey sports fans, your host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, the program, Thomas McGregor here. As you know, this is the Stanley Cup playoffs as they are finally in full swing for the Stanley Cup Finals. We've got the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Florida Panthers.
headed your way. There is some content that is coming before that, but please, if you are like someone that likes to stay in as locked on Podcast Network calls it as an everydayer who never misses an episode, do join us for Stanley Cup Playoffs Finals review with the Stanley Cup Finals teammates chosen. It's going to be lots of fun. That's it for me. Tune in to Blue Jays game recap now on Sports for Beginners. I'll see you on the flip side. Continuing our coverage of the Blue Jays and the Athletics on Blue Jays game recap here on Sports for Beginners, the logo you see behind me. My name is Scott McGregor. Blue Jays sweep the Athletics 4-0 and kick off their homestand with an absolute bang. Our title of our recap here is Bam Bam Barger. Credit that to Caleb Joseph and, of course, the one, the only, Jamie Campbell. Catch them on Blue Jay Central, or catch Jamie, Joe, and the gang, Joe Siddle and the gang, on Blue Jay Central. During night games, starting at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, 5:30 Central, 4:30 Mountain. We are into the month of June. It is June 1st as we continue on recording here today. Heading into June 2nd, which is an off day for the Blue Jays. Meanwhile, for the Athletics, they get right back at it on Monday. We'll get to that later on. But first, in case you missed it, we've gone over the pitching matchup. Want to remind you of our managers. They are Mark Kotsay and John Schneider for the Blue Jays. Mark Kotsay for the Athletics. The Blue Jays, well, I guess you could say game 2, the Athletics kind of made the Blue Jays sweat for the win, but the Jays got the job done 11-7 on Friday, the City Connect night. On Thursday, no promotional night for this one, but the Blue Jays exploded in the second inning with an 8-run second inning. They follow that up with a run in the 7th and 3 runs in the 3rd inning. No runs were scored by the Athletics in any of the innings as the Jays take care of business and shut down the Athletics 12-0 on Thursday night. With that, they improved their record to 28-28. The record for the Athletics went from 23-33 to 23-34. With the win for the Jays on Friday night, they improved their record to 29-28. The record for the Athletics went from 23-34 to 23-35. Record went 23-36 for the Athletics after the 8-7 loss to the Jays, which means the Jays are 30-28 after Saturday. After today, they are 31-28. The Athletics are 23, and 37. Here's how Saturday went. This is the weekend set of games. First Saturday, and this had a very special moment. This had a very special moment for the native. A very, very special moment for the native here. Saturday was a very special day for the native of Pickering, Ontario. Shout out to Pickering, Ontario. Denzel Clark, the Pickering native, hit his first Major League career home run, and he does it against his Canadian team, along with some friends, family, coaches in attendance. But here's how things began. In the top of the first, finally, we get to start things in the first inning. All right, here we go. Tyler Soderstrom hits his 12th home run of the season on a fly ball to center field. Jacob Wilson will score on the play. Brent Rooker will score on the play. It's a 3-run shot. Not a good start for Blue Jays starting pitcher Braden Fisher, but the Blue Jays jump on the Jets and quickly answer. Addison Barger opens up the first inning with he didn't lead off the game, I should say, but he opens up the bottom of the first inning scoring with a 2-run shot to right field for his 4th home run of the season. And Bam Bam Barger strikes again, this time in the 1st inning. 4th home run of the year for Addison Barger. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. scores. What was 3-0 Athletics is now 3-2 Athletics. The Athletics get the lead taken away from them for a moment as Nathan Lucas hits a 2-run single to score George Springer and Dalton Varsho. Now, it should be noted that Dalton Varsho did leave the game did leave this ball game on Saturday. He did leave this game and would not play on Sunday. Dalton Varsho scored on the play with George Springer on the Nathan Lukes 2-run single. Blue Jays have a lead 4-3. Top of the 2nd we go. Denzel Clark. Congratulations to Denzel Clark. His 1st home run at the big league level. 1st of the year. Fly ball left field. Luis Urias scores on the play. Not only did the Athletics tie the ball game on this home run, but they also took it right back. It's now 5-4. Bo Bichette notices that and he says, "Not in my house, you don't." His 7th home run of the season on a line drive into left field. 5-5 tie. Here we go. Bottom of the 3rd. George Springer says, "Let me fix that for you. Actually, let me do that twice." He hits his 7th home run of the season. Fly ball into center field. Makes it 6-5 Blue Jays. Blue Jays back with the lead. And then he gets a 2nd home run in the bottom of the 5th. His 8th home run of the season on a fly ball into center field. His 8th home run of the season, solo shot this time, makes it 7-5 Blue Jays. Blue Jays up by 2. During the bottom of the 6th, we had a wild pitch by pitcher Gunnar Hoglund as Ernie Clement scores on this play to make it a 3-run game, 8-5. Ernie Clement will score on the wild pitch from Gunnar Hoglund, and after that it's 8-5. Blue Jays up by 4. Let me make that clear here. Maybe I said that wrong. It was 8-5. Blue Jays up by 3, I should say. After the 6th inning. Top of the 9th inning, Lawrence Butler and Brent Rooker connect for Brent Rooker's 13th home run of the season. Put this one on ice. Jeff Hoffman will put this one on ice, but he had to sweat to do it. And the Blue Jays will win it 8-7 after the 13th home run of the season by Brent Rooker in the top of the 9th inning. The Blue Jays find a way to shut down the A's before the game has to find its way into extra innings. George Springer hit 2 home runs in this game. Bo Bichette, we talk about milestones. Your first major league home run of the year and major league home run of your career. Congratulations, Denzel Clark. Congratulations, buddy. That came on Saturday. It was a beautiful day for him. But speaking of home runs, Bo Bichette, when we talk about home runs, Bo Bichette has hit his 100th career home run, and he did so in the inning when Denzel Clark hit his major league first home run in his major league career. Now that was number 7 on the season for Bo Bichette, but it was career home run number 100. Oh, and by the way, 1,500 strikeouts for Jose Barrios in game number 1. Really great milestone to make. Congratulations, Jose. Really well deserved. And man, did you ever get the offense you needed. You got tons of rest in that 2nd inning. You got tons of rest before you hit the mound for the 3rd inning. You got tons of rest, my friend. All right, moving on. Our final score of Saturday's game was 8-7. Blue Jays win 8-7. No errors in the game for either squad. Jeff Hoffman picked up his 13th save of the season. Into the game where we saw the return of Davis Schneider and the return of Eric Swanson. We start things out with a ground out by Tyler Soderstrom. Out to first. Lawrence Butler scores on the play. Jacob Wilson to second base. 1-0 Oakland Athletics after 1 inning of play. And through 3 scoreless innings, the second, third, and fourth, it would remain 1-0. Luis Urias hits his 5th double of the season on a line drive into left field. Brent Rooker scores. Miguel Andújar scores as well. That makes it 3-0. Athletics, top of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th, George Springer singles on a line drive to left field to score Miles Straw. The Blue Jays are on the board. It's 3-1 It's 3-1 Athletics. I was going to say Oakland, but it's 3-1 Athletics. Quickly correcting myself there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going to second base on the play. Now this was interesting, but it counted as a scoring play. The Athletics challenged a tag play call on the field that was overturned. Alejandro Kirk hits his 5th double of the season on a sharp line drive to left field. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will score on the play. For the moment until the Athletics challenged this play, George Springer was safe at third, but the left fielder Drew Avanes throw to third baseman Max Schumann was in time, and George was caught sleeping at first base, as many will say. The good news is Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s run will count, but it also ended the inning. So the run will count for the Blue Jays, and they get within 1 in Sunday's action. They get within 1, but a costly base running decision by George at third left the fans in shambles, and it also kind of left my brother in shambles as well. We'll get to that in a little bit later on, or maybe I'll save that for another show. But anyways, moving on. I want to make sure we get through this as we can. In the top of the 8th, Jacob Wilson gets out on a sacrifice fly to right field. William McLever scores on the play. Denzel Clark to third on this play. It's 4-2 Athletics over Toronto. Bottom of the 8 we go. Bam Bam Barger strikes again. His 5th home run of the season on a fly ball into right center field. George Springer will score. Alan Roden scores a 3-run shot. And looky here. 3 runs come across. The Blue Jays have taken the lead. It's 5-4, but they're not done here. Nathan Lukes on a ground ball into right field. Ernie Clement will score. Davis Schneider to second base on the play. Now 6-4 Blue Jays. Blue Jays up by 2. They went up by 1 on the 3-run home run by Addison Barger. Bam Bam Barger. Nathan Lukes made it a 2-run lead at 6-4. Later in the inning, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 10th double of the season. Sharp line drive into center field. Davis Schneider and Nathan Lukes score on the play. 8-4 your final of game number 3, which was today at the timing of our recording. Maybe not at the time of the other recordings that we have, but that does it for our scoring. We are going to save the players of the series for the next commercial break that we're going to get to in a moment. Before we do, I want to first point out, during this game, there were 2 errors by the Athletics. Also, there was 1 man ejected from this game. Home plate umpire Tom Hannon in the 3rd inning ejected Tyler Soderstrom, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm going to be really honest with you. Because he was ejected, he had to leave the game, which meant he could not play the rest of the game. Now, here's what happened. He got called out. Oh, we seem to have lost ourselves here for a second. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Maybe we can keep this going. Anyways, Tyler was called out on strikes, and he argued. Oh, there we go. We're back up. Here we go. Now we lost ourselves again. Anyways, Tyler. Yeah, there we go. We're back now. Anyways, as I was saying, Tyler Soderstrom was called out on strikes, and as a result, he argued with home plate umpire Tom Hannanen. I'll go with Tom H. in case I pronounced that wrong. Tom, if I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. Actually, let's try that again. Yeah, home plate umpire Tom Hanahan in the third, and I'm going to be honest with you. I thought if anybody was going to get ejected, it would have been Mark Kotze. It would have been the manager, but it wasn't. Now, everyone has their own opinion on this, but I don't want to issue no warning to any umpires, but I'll just say this. This is how I felt about the call. As a Blue Jays fan, I like that he was called out on strikes, but I just didn't like how it was portrayed to an ejection. I really don't. Look, you got to play the game by the rules or not at all. We're out there at, I'm not a player, but if I was, this is a message to all players in the MLB. Well, my message to the MLB players is this. We're all out here to do a job. And to argue with an umpire, I get you're standing up for yourself, but the umpire has a job to do and so do you. And the managers also, you know what, let them deal with the umpire. Let them deal with them. I'm not saying what you did was wrong, Tyler. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Quickly to the pitching line. I'm going to go over the pitching line in today's game. And today's game, we did see the return of Eric Swanson, but not before we saw on the Blue Jays side after Kevin Gausman went 4 2/3, giving up 8 hits, 3 runs, all earned, walked 2 batters, and struck out 7. Athletics, with no home runs given up and an ERA of 3.82. Mason Fluharte went an inning and a third, struck out 2 Athletics, finishes the game with an ERA of 3.33. Chad Green goes an inning, gives up 2 hits, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts, an ERA of 3.91. Eric Swanson gets the win, but he also gives up a hit, an earned run, didn't walk a batter, didn't give up a home run, but he also struck out a batter. His ERA was 9. Jeff Hoffman into the game for a second time in the series. 2 strikeouts in an inning, an ERA of 5.81. Meanwhile, for the Athletics, they go to J.P. Sears to start this game. He goes 5 innings, gives up 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, ERA of 5.05 at the end of the game. The first guy out of the pen for the Athletics in this one is none other than Mitch Spence. Mitch Spence, first guy out of the pen, he goes 2 innings, gives up a hit, 2 strikeouts of Jays, an ERA of 4.38. Bring on our next pitcher. And the next pitcher up for grabs is this guy, Justin Sterner. Justin Sterner into the game for the... He comes into the game for his club, goes no innings, gives up 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 runs I should say, 3 earned, gave up 1 home run, did not walk a batter, did not strike out at Blue Jay, an ERA of 4.10. Mitch Spence got an ERA of 4.38, despite giving up 1 hit and striking out 2 batters. Next up, and last but certainly not least, would be Grant Holman. Grant Holman, an inning of work, 2 hits given up, 2 earned runs given up, a walk, and a strikeout given up, I should say taken. Gives him an ERA of 4.74. The home run was given up by Athletics pitcher Justin Sterner. And with that note being said, that is our pitching line. Players of the series coming up next on Blue Jays game recap. Transactions. Yeah, you know what? Maybe we won't worry about that with the Athletics and the rest of the Jays stuff, but we did talk about the ones that happened so far today in June, which were the activation of Eric Swanson, the return of Davis Schneider, Dalton Varsho went on the 10-day injured list, and Easton Lucas found himself and Easton Lucas has found himself in AAA Buffalo. All right, so with that said, those were the ones that happened before this series wrapped up today on June 1st, 2025. When we come back, it's time for the players of the series, time to set the scene for Philadelphia Phillies and Toronto Blue Jays. Plus, we set the scene for the Twins and the Athletics. Get you also a look at where the standings stand currently in the majors coming out of today's action. All that is next on Blue Jays Game Recap. Plus, Blue Jays and Phillies setup. We set that up for you. When we return to Blue Jays Game Recap, our 4-game series is coming to its close. Players of the series setting up the next series for the Jays and Athletics. And next time on Blue Jays Game Recap, followed by standings as of June 1st into June 2nd, when Blue Jays Game Recap continues. Stay with us.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. We welcome everyone back into Blue Jays Game Recap. Blue Jays and the Athletics. The Blue Jays at a record of 31 and 28, a game above 500. They sit currently second in the American League East. Now going in to today's games, going into, I should say, the June 2nd games, the Blue Jays record remained at 31 and 28. The Oakland Athletics record going into their startup series with the Minnesota Twins was at 23 and 37. The current records as we speak to you on the day before the Phillies and the Blue Jays get going. The New York Yankees are at 36 and 22. The Tampa Bay Rays are 30 and 29. The Boston Red Sox are 29 and 33. The Baltimore Orioles are 22 and 36. Over in the AL Central, you've got the Tigers leading the charge at 40 and 21. The Cleveland Guardians are 32 and 26. The Minnesota Twins are 32 and 27. The Kansas City Royals are 31 and 29. The Chicago White Sox are 18 and 42. And in the AL West, you've got the Mariners at 32 and 26, leading the charge. The Houston Astros are right behind the leading Seattle Mariners, who again are at 32 and 26. The Astros are 32 and 27. Texas Rangers are 29 and 31. The Los Angeles Angels are 27 and 32. And the Athletics are, as we speak with you, 23 and 38. The Philadelphia Phillies will enter the series starting tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays, I should say. They will enter that series against Toronto starting at a record of 36 and 23. Their leader is the New York Mets at a record of 38 and 22. And we have the Washington Nationals in third place at 28 and 31. The Atlanta Braves are 27 and 31. And the Miami Marlins at the very bottom of the barrel with 23 and 35. a record of 23-35. In the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs leading that division 37-22 is their record. The St. Louis Cardinals are second in that division, leading at a record of 33-26. Your record for the Milwaukee Brewers, who the Blue Jays will see in an upcoming homestand coming up soon in the month of June, actually maybe in July. Yeah, most likely in July. The Milwaukee Brewers are 33-28 at this time, so they are 2 losses worse than the St. Louis Cardinals, but they both have the same record in wins at 33 wins, Milwaukee and St. Louis. The Pittsburgh Pirates are at the very bottom of the barrel at 22-38. Cincinnati Reds are 29-32 at the bottom of the barrel, but they are fourth in the NL Central. And last but certainly not least, in the National League West, or the NL West, the Los Angeles Dodgers sit at a record of 36-24, leading the league in the National League West, with the San Diego Padres just 3 games behind them, but a game back of the division. They are 34-24. The San Francisco Giants are 33-27. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 28-31. And the Colorado Rockies, they have finally hit double digits, so nobody is without double-digit wins. You finally have double-digit wins all across the board, but the Colorado Rockies are 10-50. They have lost more than they have won, and it has led to changes in their organization. So the leaders are the New York Yankees, Detroit Tigers, and Seattle Mariners in the American League, East, West, and Central. In the National League, East, Central, and West, your leaders are the New York Mets, Chicago Cubs, and Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, the Blue Jays may be 5.5 games out of the division, but a couple of good wins could change that. They are only a game out of the wild card, so a couple of wins and a nice little drop. A couple of wins and a nice little drop for each team might just roll the Blue Jays into the wild card conversation. We're going to see how we can find out the wild card competition in a second. When we look at the wild card, the leaders are the Tigers, Yankees, and the Mariners. Now, the Cleveland Guardians are half a game up of the Houston Astros and the Minnesota Twins in the wild card race, but both Cleveland, Houston, and Minnesota each have a wild card spot in the American League wild card. Toronto is now fighting for that wild card with Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Texas, Boston, the Angels, Athletics, Orioles, and White Sox nipping at their tailpipe. Well, okay, maybe not nipping at their tailpipe when it comes to the White Sox, but you know what I mean. Alright, it's time to get down to business. We talked about this in the closing moment of that last segment. It's time for the players of the series. So let's give you first, to close things up here after the standings, our players of the game and top performers. Luis Reyes went 2 for 4 in game number 4 on Sunday. He had a double, a walk, and 2 RBIs. The player of the game in game 4 was Addison Barger. 1 for 4, a home run, and 3 RBIs. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was a top performer. Went 2 for 4 with 2 doubles. He was hit by a pitch, hit 2 RBIs, and scored a run. A stolen base for Wilson. He winds up for Jacob Wilson, he ends up with an RBI and a stolen base, and he was 4 for 4 in the ball game. In Toronto's 8-7 win over the Athletics, of course, that was the player of the game, top performers of the game, for the game that ended 8-4 in favor of Toronto. For the game on Saturday, which was 8-7, the player of the game was George Springer, 2 for 3, 2 home runs, an RBI, 2 RBIs and a walk. 3 runs scored. Brent Rooker hit a home run, walked, and also had 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored in his 3-for-4 performance in Saturday's game. Also in Saturday's game, Tyler Soderstrom was the top performer. A home run, double, walk, 3 RBIs, and a run scored. What about game number 2, the game on Friday? Who were our performers? This was a 11-7 win for the Blue Jays. Sadly, no athletics hit the board here, but here are your top performers. Your player of the game, Ernie Clement, a home run, a double, and an RBI, and 2 runs scored. He went 4 for 5 in the game. Miles Straw had a double, 2 walks, 2 RBIs, 3 runs scored, and a stolen base. He went 2 for 3 in the game. Addison Barger went 1 for 3 in the game with a home run, 2 walks, an RBI, and 3 runs scored. And last but certainly not least, the Blue Jays 12-0 shutdown. Once again, Ernie Clement was 3 for 5. He ended up being your player of the game in game 1. He also was your player of the game in game 2. Different timeline though. Instead of 4 for 5, he was 3 for 5 with a home run, a double, 5 RBIs, and a run scored. The winning pitcher, Jose Berrios, picking up 6 innings of work, 2 hits allowed, no earned runs, and 9 strikeouts. And last but certainly not least, Bo Bichette picking up a 2 for 4 performance, a home run, double, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. When I look at a player of the series, I'm going to go back to game 1 of the Athletics series. I really thought Jose Berrios played really, really well in this ball game. I really do. He was wheeling and dealing. He was dealing all over the ballpark. I thought he looked really good. Okay, yeah, he gave up a few hits, but I thought he was playing pretty well. Ernie Clement is another guy I'm going to give a player of the series for Toronto to. And we've talked about it already on the show already, right? Even right from the get-go even. But I'm going to give flowers to, on the Athletic side, I'm going to give flowers to the Ontario native, Denzel Clark, his first home run of his major league career and first home run as a big leaguer at the major league level. It comes against his hometown team, but he did it in his hometown. Now, yes, it was against the Blue Jays. We get that. But he did it in his hometown. Okay, his hometown's not really Toronto, but he did it in his home country, Canada. He's from Pickering, Ontario. Credit to you, buddy. And also some credit to the Oakland Athletic pitching staff, specifically guys like Jeffrey Springs. Jeffrey Springs, it's true he didn't have a very good day, but at least he was able to get through 2 innings. And I know 2 innings, 3 innings, 1 inning is not good enough, but if you can at least get out of trouble as many times as you want, whether you're on the Athletics or you're on the Blue Jays or what have you, that to me shows you're learning from your mistakes and finding ways to win ball games when needed to. And with that said, that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the conclusion of this Blue Jays game recap. One of the ball games that the Athletics played, we were talking about it in the last segment. One of the Athletic games that they played, which was against the Minnesota Twins, a 4-game set with the Twins. They opened up at home. Well, that continued their losing streak, but the series ain't over, so don't be thinking the Athletics are not going to want revenge on that. Let's start with the Blue Jays, meanwhile, first, before we get to the Athletics, because there's already 1 game in that Twin series that has gone final. I'll let you know what the final score of that one was in just a moment. The Blue Jays' 7-game homestand has started off good on a great note. It started with a bang, and it ended with a sweep of the Athletics by final scores of 12-0, 11-7, 8-7, and 8-4. Now the Blue Jays are fresh off the off day, and tonight they go head-to-head with the Philadelphia Phillies. Oh, look, Jordan Romano's back in town. It'll be nice to see, Jordan. That's a 3-game series starting tonight at 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:07 p.m. Central Time, 4:07 p.m. Pacific, 5:07 p.m. Mountain. 2 games are night games, including tonight, Looney Dogs Night at the ballpark. We also have Work from Dome on Thursday. That's a 3:07 start. Then the Blue Jays hit the road for 3 this weekend against the Minnesota Twins. 3 against the Cardinals Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in St. Louis. After the weekend set against the Twins. After an off day on Thursday, they will take on the Philadelphia Phillies from the 13th to the 15th after opening up their 6-game season series here in Toronto tonight with 3 games here in Toronto. Speaking of being in Toronto, the next homestand is a 6-game homestand for the Jays. That will be the Diamondbacks and the White Sox coming into town with an off day before that. That will be on Monday, June the 16th, 2025. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the Athletics quickly, and then I'll let you know what's in store on Jays Game Recap next time. The previous matchup between the Twins and the Athletics went down yesterday, and the final score was Twins 10, Athletics 4. This game started at 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time. Was supposed to start, I believe, at 7:05 p.m., but started at 7:07. So 2 minutes after 7:05 p.m. The next action, tonight I should say, as they play game 2 tonight, will begin at 7:05 p.m. Eastern time, 7:05 p.m. I should say Pacific time is when it will begin. That was Pacific time, I should say. They will be going head to head with the Minnesota Twins later on tonight, as that is actually a 10:05 p.m. Eastern time start. So they will be playing at 10:05 Eastern, and on the Pacific side it was 7:07 when they started game 1. We'll see how game 2 goes. Same timeline for game number 3. That's Wednesday, which is tomorrow. They will go at it at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, 12:35 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday for the conclusion of that Twin series, which means after that, Friday, you got the Orioles in town for 3. So a 7-game homestand for the Blue Jays led to a 7-game homestand for the Athletics, which hasn't started okay. But we will see where things go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and of course on the weekend. Off to Atlanta, off to Anaheim, I should say, for the Los Angeles Angels. A 3-game set with the Angels coming up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Off day Thursday, back at it with the Royals on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 13th to the 15th. Another 4-game series to set up another 7-game homestand, as the Astros will take on the Athletics for 4 games in the Athletics home park. Then the Guardians come to town. Then you've got Tigers, Yankees, and Rays to wrap up their June schedule into July. The Oakland Athletics, the Athletics and the Blue Jays will meet once again in July, speaking of July, when the Blue Jays hit the road after an off day on Wednesday, July the 10th, for their final games of the first half of the regular season. They will also see the New York Yankees for Canada Day, a 4-game set, then a 3-game set with the Angels, and that will be during a 6-game road trip when they will next see the Athletics. But we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. Let's keep it to June. We'll get to July in the middle of June. Next time on Blue Jays Game Recap, we wrap up the 7-game homestand with a double trouble. That's right, you'll get episodes 15 of season 4 of Sports for Beginners, as well as Blue Jays Game Recap, Philadelphia Phillies versus the Toronto Blue Jays. You'll start off with Blue Jays Game Recap coming your way following episode number 14, and of course this episode 14 of season 4 was an all-out NFL show, but we also addressed some podcasting content future. So right after the Phillies recap, you will catch episode 15 of season number 4. We're going to talk Minnesota Frost. We're going to talk NFL. We're going to talk expansion in the PWHL. And we're also going to give a little bit more in on how the Blue Jays are doing so far. But for now, that will do it for this edition of Blue Jays Game Recap. The next Blue Jays Game Recap is the Philadelphia Phillies, which the series gets started tonight at 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will talk to you following the Philadelphia Phillies series. Episode 14 is going to drop later than expected. It was supposed to drop before the end of May, around that timeline on Friday, May the 30th, 2025. Instead, it is dropping on June the 6th, which is this coming Friday. And of course, I should say it's this Friday to the exact. That will be dropping in the morning. We will have episode 15 follow Blue Jays Game Recap, Athletics and the Blue Jays, and of course, Blue Jays Game Recap, Phillies and the Blue Jays. That's the double trouble for the weekend. Most likely it'll drop on the weekend on Saturday, which will be the 7th this Saturday, but you never really know. With that being said, whenever these drop, hopefully you'll check it out. And again, if you would like to suggest content that you want aired on this show, please send an email to sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com, or send us a note on our socials, on our Discord server, under the Sports for Beginners general port of our Discord server, and so much more. We look forward to hearing what you have to say. As I said, it is very likely that we are going to be going in another direction when we get to Season 5. But it does not mean we're derailing Season 4. Season 4 will still go till Christmas, and I still want to have an August program to celebrate the podcast. With that said, until then, my name is Scott McGregor. Thank you so much for being with us. We will see you next time. And remember, Blue Jays fans, lights up. Let's go, Blue Jays.
Thank you so much for joining us on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, for Blue Jays Game Recap, the after show on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, right after every Blue Jays game. To learn more about upcoming episodes, when they drop, and schedule, please visit https://sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com. Follow the show on Facebook at facebook.com/sportsforbeginners87. Send us an email at sportsforbeginners87@gmail.com. Follow Ali, Thomas, and Scott on Twitter at Scott McGregor3, Thomas J, and ALI Musa. Follow Thomas and Scott on Instagram at SMC_87_ and TM_80 and TM00_. Thanks for listening to Blue Jays Baseball, and we hope to see you soon again. This has been Blue Jays Game Recap. Once again, the website is https://sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening. And when it's time for the Blue Jays to play ball, there's only one chant Blue Jays fans will be using. Catch you later, baseball fans.